Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to our weekly podcast. I am Dr. Cecelia Lynch-Mitchell, and here tonight we have my co host, Jen.
Hello, everyone.
And along with us tonight is a very, very special friend and parent advocate, Mrs. Alondra Mustafa. Welcome, Alondra.
Hello, welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. So tonight we have a very special show. Tonight we'll be talking a lot about resources for families with special needs. And as all of you guys know who follow us and keep up with our show, and our podcast, you all know that every week we come here, we talk about various topics that affect the lives of children with disabilities and their families. And tonight, our program is going to be focused on helping families deal with the financial burdens of having special needs, because special needs families, they have more cost, more medical costs for therapies, costs for special equipment, sometimes even costs for schooling that they have to deal with. So tonight, Miss Alondra is going to be sharing a lot of her wisdom and her resources with us. And Jen, from the parent perspective, will be asking questions that parents typically ask. And I want for you guys who are listening to post your questions in the comments so that we can answer as many questions that we can while we're on here tonight. So, Alondra, welcome again.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me tonight. I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you. As Miss Cece described, I'm a parent advocate. I'm also foremost a parent. I'm a parent to 4 little boys, 2 of whom have special needs, ages ranging from 12, 7, 4, and 1. So my 2 older ones have a rare genetic disorder. So they're a little bit more on the medically fragile side. So I'm coming from that perspective. But I used to be a special needs teacher for the county that I live in. I also worked as an early interventionist for the early intervention program for the state. So that's on my professional side as well. And now that I have so many kids, after COVID, I couldn't work. I do parent advocacy. So I do help represent parents for the state of Georgia in meetings and give my 2 cents in there to help give resources to parents. Specifically, sometimes some of our foreign families that have difficulty with the language. So I am a Spanish speaker and I do help with that. But I'm here to help whatever I can, whatever I know. I don't like to gatekeep information. I want everybody to be aware. If I have it, why not share it? And information changes all the time. So what I share today might not be relevant next year with everything going on, but whatever I do know, I will answer. And if I don't, I will tell you as well.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
how did you get started with the becoming a parent advocate? Because I know a lot of medical professionals that I work with, as well as other parents who want to be advocates for families with special needs. So if we have someone out there who would like to learn more about how to become an advocate, what would you advise them to do?
So the way I got introduced to parent advocacy was through one of our state's organizations. And they put out an ad. They needed parents to get together. Initially, it started in my interest in helping to pass a law. So we were advocating for medical marijuana for children. with various disorders that could benefit from it. And once I got involved in there through share groups and other parents, just sharing some of the same concerns, um, information just starts popping up once you get your foot in the door. Like somebody refers you through another one, but usually it's through different organizations. I don't know if you want me to mention organization names, but usually.
No, definitely mention as much information as you feel will help.
Okay. The organization that I first got introduced into helping with my state's advocacy efforts. The very first one was Babies Can't Wait. That is an early intervention program. It's uh, it's early intervention for the state of Georgia. And now it's got a different name in every single other state in the U.S. So what's called here Babies Can't Wait might be called something else in a different state, but it serves the population of 0 to 3. Basically, services come to your home and they provide your child with needed therapies in their home or whatever environment they're in during the day. Um, they were forming when I first got introduced. They needed some parents to attend meetings, and they were forming a parent group. And they invited me, and I happened to attend. So that was my first jump into uh, advocacy for my child. And I always say, like, we're our children's biggest advocates. If we don't advocate for them, who will? Specifically in my case, my children are nonverbal, so there's not much they would be able to say for themselves. So I am their, I am their mouth, their ears, their everything.
Awesome. Awesome. So, in terms of that law that you were trying to get passed for the medical marijuana for children who had different conditions, was that law ever passed in Georgia?
It did pass.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. That's
Yes,
awesome. I love that.
I have pictures where I had my like 1-year-old on my body on like a holster, another one in a walker. So I took the whole family, and it was definitely a state effort. It took years to pass, but it did pass, and it is something that was important to me and my family. My oldest had seizures, and since we started taking it, he has not had seizures since. So we've been seizure free for 6.5 years. And Miss Cece knows him because she used to work with him. So I am very excited that was able to pass here.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we all know too that with seizures, it affects development, brain development, and everything. So we always try to reduce seizures. Um, I'm happy that we were able to get the law passed to be able to use medical marijuana. No knock on other medication that helps to reduce seizures, but when you have something that's natural and we can use it to help our kids, I'm always a big advocate for going the natural way. So I'm happy that we were able to get that passed. That's amazing. Thanks for your efforts on that, and I'm sure a lot of families have been helped.
Yes, ma'am.
You have any questions, Jen, so far?
Not at this time, but I am very familiar with Babies Can't Wait. They helped me a ton in the beginning, and they were such a saving grace, I feel like. So that's awesome.
And for Babies Can't Wait, Babies Can't Wait is typically for children ages 0. We always say 0, like there's ever a 0 age, but 0 through 3. And the services are normally provided within the home, or if your child is in daycare, the service provider can also go to the daycare. But it's a really really good program because it's done where children are in what they call their natural environment, and typically the parents and or the caregivers are present, so that there's a lot of teaching and learning that's going on with the whole team, including the parents, so that the parents can carry over and learn from the medical service providers or the therapists, the special instructors, who are coming in to service the children. So Babies Can't Wait, it's called Babies Can't Wait in Georgia, but every state has an early intervention program. So if your child is 0 to 3 and you are thinking that you need an evaluation for your child, then please contact whatever your early intervention program is in your state. And more than likely to find those web addresses, you can go on Google and find what it is for your particular state. So that's amazing. So we start off with Babies Can't Wait. And then your child is in Babies Can't Wait and getting services. What are the payments? Are there any payments involved in Babies Can't Wait at all, or how does it normally work? The early intervention programs.
So usually, so it's a federally mandated program. If your child has Medicaid, they will charge it through Medicaid. But for the most part, there is no charge for it. Like, it is free of charge. But for families who are higher income families, there is a little part that they are responsible for, like a percentage. But that just goes on a family basis. But for the most part, it's free to families.
Okay, but if you are, so do they base it on the income of the family? If it's going to be, okay, so if you have higher income, they'll give it to you still pretty much for free. But if you have like insurance that can cover some of the costs, they will bill your insurance as well. Okay. 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 All right. So once a child goes through the early intervention stage, where that's free for the most part, what's next in the process?
So once your child turns 3, the child transitions into the school programs. The school program is free. Babies Can't Wait. The nice thing about being in Babies Can't Wait is that you have dibs to get into the school program. So there is like a waiting list. So Babies Can't Wait are first in line, and they hold your hand. Everybody has a service coordinator that's assigned to them, and this person will literally hold your hand, help you fill out paperwork and everything, and organize all the paperwork and get it sent to where it's at, where they schedule you an evaluation for the school-based programs. The evaluation, depending on the child's diagnosis or severity, can take very little, depending on how many therapists have to evaluate them. Maybe up to 2 hours. So I always say pack a snack for the first evaluation. After that, then they do an evaluation, like a 5-area developmental evaluation on your child, and then they will there's another meeting to review for the eligibility. And then after that, you're transitioning from the Babies Can't Wait. You have like goals. You have an IFSP. So now you're going to be transitioning into school-based programs with an IEP, which is an individual educational plan. So you draft that together, and then the day after they turn 3 years old, if there's school in session, they're able to start school services. And this would be the closest school to your home that offers the classroom that is needed for that child. So it might not be the school down the street from you. It's the one that offers the services that are needed for that child. So not all schools provide the same services. So even though you might have a school down your street, that doesn't mean your child would be going there. like for your neurotypical children that will attend their homeschool. They might attend 15 minutes away. The good thing is that the school bus is provided, and they can pick your child up from their home. But also you can take your child if wanted.
Okay, so I do work in one of the county school systems, so I'm aware of how that works. So what Alondra is saying is that your child, depending on your child's eligibility, and the child's eligibility can be developmental delay, it can be severe or profound intellectual disabilities, it can be autism. Typically at 3, those are mostly the 3 eligibilities that are typically given to kids who are 3 years old. And based on their eligibility and the fact that they're not yet school age, they're preschoolers when they're 3. So they would have to go to a school that has that preschool program that matches their eligibility. And not every school has every program. So just know that you might have to travel, as she said, like 15 minutes away from home to get to the school. However, the school does provide free transportation back and forth. And so parents don't have anything to worry about getting their kid to school. I will add, from a therapy point of view, though, that when your child turns 3, if your child is in Babies Can't Wait, and they turn 3 years old and they're eligible for the special needs preschool class, and they used to get speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy through Babies Can't Wait, it doesn't mean that they're going to get these services at the school. Your child will have to go through an evaluation. When they go through that evaluation process, that initial evaluation where you have those 5 different disciplines, there will be therapists there, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your child is automatically eligible to receive these services. It might be wherein they don't need the school-based, especially OT and PT, because the school-based services are a little bit different from the medical-based early intervention services that you used to receive when your child was getting services through Babies Can't Wait. So, but what you can do, if you have the insurance and you have, or if you have Medicaid or some way to pay for it, you can always get therapies outside of school through a clinic base if you feel like your child needs to continue. And if you feel like your child needs the OT and PT that they're not getting, you can ask for a specific OT and PT evaluation after your child has started school, if they weren't made eligible for those services. So I just wanted to put that in there, that when you transition from Babies Can't Wait into the school, you don't transition with those same services. Any comments?
Yeah, so
on
there are
that?
definitely add-ons, and I will say that I think that it's very important to have all of the therapists and the teachers communicating. It is the biggest thing because we all have to use the same language and continue the same process to be able to provide those services for the kids. So I think that keeping them all in communication is it's a positive thing for your child. It's a lot of work, but it's positive.
And I always suggest to parents, like, the services that they're going to get in the school, they're not going to be for the same amount. It's not going to be one-on-one for the most part. They pull into the classroom, and they work with everybody, and they said they suggest accommodations and different things to the teacher to be implemented, but it's not that one-on-one that you would receive and like at a private clinic setting where your child is going to be just sitting with that one therapist. So I always say, if you can, if you have the possibility to continue private PT, OT, speech, what have you, do so. Like, it's only going to further help them.
That's right.
Right. And the other thing about the therapy services are normally just given based on the goals and objectives that are in the IEP. So if you have a child who you're thinking, oh, my child will get occupational therapy because he's not able to put on his shirt. I'm just using that as an example. Putting on your shirt is not necessarily going to be a goal that's written in the IEP. So you're not going to get OT services just because your child is not able to do a fine motor activity or perform different fine motor tasks, unless those are skills that have been identified in the IEP that will require OT or PT support. That's the only time your child will get services in the school, and the services they're more geared towards meeting those objectives that's written in the IEP. There's not geared to meeting every objective that you think your child should be learning and performing. So that's another little just a little tidbit to remember, that the private therapists, their focus is typically different than the services, especially for PT and OT in the school. All right. So we have our children, they're getting early intervention. They're getting therapies in school. They're getting therapies outside of school, and all of this cost, and somebody has to pay for it. And so now, what do we do when the parents are not able to get those outside therapists because they're not able to afford it? They may not have insurance to cover it.
Or not just afford it, but also in my case, it's more of I have to work and I can't get them there, which is like another huge issue. So someone's got to get them there, and that all costs money. So I'd love to know this. What do we do?
So I usually suggest the first step. I usually say apply for SSI, Social Security Income. This is what I would say would be your first step. SSI, usually it's for more low income and low resource families. But if you do not qualify for it, there's other options. But I always say make that your first stop, because they do provide, they will provide a monetary, they will give you a monthly check to help with that, with whatever you might need for your home. So they do provide, based on your income. It's based off of your family income and based off of your child's disability. So there's two factors that you must meet. If you meet both of those, they will send a monthly check to your home in your child's name, but also one of the parents' name, to be able to deposit to help with food, housing, day-to-day living expenses. So I always say that would be your first choice, because it's a lot of help to have a little bit of extra money. It doesn't hurt. Now, if you do not qualify for SSI, if you get a denial letter and they're like, hey, sorry, you just don't qualify, there are other options. The main one is there's 4 waivers for the state of Georgia, and one of them is called the Katie Beckett TEFRA waiver. basically, if you don't qualify for SSI, this waiver, it basically was made so that your child can qualify for Medicaid, and where they don't take into consideration the family income. So you could be, it's non-income based. So I mean, sorry, this one is, yes, oh, what am I saying? This one is, you could be a millionaire and still qualify for it. You
And
just
which one? This
have
one
to
is the Katie Beckett.
so you just have to prove your child's diagnosis. And it is a lengthy process. It is a good bit of paperwork that you have to fill out, and you do have to renew it yearly. But
Oh.
it's worthly. But it's worth it because it's something that will guarantee you Medicaid, and Medicaid guarantees you just they cover more therapies, more resources, also equipment. Um, they say yes more than some of the CMOs. I don't know how to um, some of the CMOs that come with Medicaid. So they just cover more stuff.
So with the Katie Beckett, it doesn't have an income qualification, but are there other stipulations then for a family to be eligible for the Katie Beckett? Other than, so because it doesn't come with the income limits, but is there anything, do they require like a certain amount of therapies per week? Do they require that the child has like a significant disability, as opposed to like, say, just a child, not just, but say, for example, a child might have ADHD then, but then that's not like a physical disability. So does the Katie Beckett have any criteria that parents need to meet, or the family needs to meet, or the child needs to meet to be able to qualify?
So obviously, the child would need to be born in the U.S. So that would be one of the main qualifications. As far as the qualifications for disability, I don't know if um, one disability would take priority over another, but obviously, your more medically fragile ones would be something that would be easier to prove because they're taking more therapies and what have you. But I do not know exactly as far as their specific requirements on how they determine if somebody would qualify based on their disability. But I do know that it's an option. As far as if you don't qualify for SSI, your next step would be to apply for Katie Beckett based off of your child's disability.
Okay. Now, other than Katie Beck, so we have Katie Beckett, that is an option if you make too much money for SSI.
Yes.
Do we have others that other assistance out there for parents who they make a little bit too much for SSI, but they're nowhere near having enough to pay for extra services for their children?
So, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, there's the CMOs for Medicaid, and that would be AmeriGroup, CareSource, and AmeriGroup, CareSource, and there's one more. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now.
That's okay.
But they're the
So you're looking for the CMOs?
and Peach State. Sorry.
Peach State. So there is Peach State, AmeriGroup, CareSource, and those are CMOs. So they're not Medicaid, but they're low cost insurance for families. In other states, they call them CHIP, childhood health insurance plan or something like that. But they're just for kids, only kids.
Yeah.
go on those plans.
I mean, they are Medicaid based. They're just not called straight Medicaid. Straight Medicaid is what would be if you got SSI, you would be awarded. It comes as a deal package. You would get straight Medicaid. If you got Katie Beckett, you would get straight Medicaid. This is Medicaid too, but they just happen to not cover always all your therapies, all the equipment. I feel like you get more denials, but it's still Medicaid based. And then let's say that you don't qualify for any of those as well, like your income is still a little bit too much. Then there is Peach Care. And this is insurance as well for children. And this is for everybody, but you would pay out of pocket like a monthly amount that's set so that you could have insurance for your child as well. And this one is if you make a little bit more and you wouldn't qualify for those Amerigroup Care Source and Peach State. It would be also, it's also Medicaid, but it's Peach Care. So also you have sometimes they won't cover everything as in with straight Medicaid.
Got you.
So that's why I always suggest try for straight Medicaid. If you can't, I mean, there's other stuff, but that will cover more resources, more supplies for your child, and more medical equipment as well.
So, for parents who want to qualify for the Katie Beckett, how would they start who do they contact to get that information?
So you go online, you look up Katie Beckett. There is a application online now. After COVID, everything became online, so you can download through the Department of Public Health. You can download a application. Now, what you do is fill out the first 4 pages of this packet. It's a big packet. You're going to see it's got a lot of stuff. Fill out just the first 4 pages. It's got regular information like the people who live in your household, their socials, information like this that you would be able to answer. Nothing that you would need to get from outside. And people's birthdays and things like this. Take this 4 pages that are in the front of the packet. Take the packet with you with the first 4 pages filled out. Do not date anything. Do not date anything. And you physically take it to your Katie Beckett office. We have one here. There is one in Gwinnett County, and it's right next to the Department of Driver Services in Norcross. But there is a physical office there. You do have to ring the doorbell because it's closed. You ring it and they ask you why you're there. You tell them that you're to drop off an application. And then when you go inside, they review it and they assign you a caseworker. So a lot of people don't know that this is something that you can do, something that is free of charge. There are a lot of companies that will charge you. They will charge you thousands of dollars to fill this information out. The only thing guaranteed there is that you're going to have to pay. Yeah, it's the truth. They cannot guarantee that you're going to get it.
Right.
So why not try for yourself? Just
Yeah.
take a little bit of time and do it for yourself. Once you're assigned a free caseworker through the Katie Beckett office, this person will typically reach out in 30 days, up to 30 days, and then they will hold your hand and they will walk you through the process. And they will tell you, hey, I need therapy notes. They will walk you and then you will gather all of the information. Remember, you do not want anything dated because once you date it, that's when the time starts. So you don't want that paperwork expiring and then having to re-get it again. So just ask for it. Hey, please don't date it. And typically people already know. But this is something that's doable and something that you can do about without having to spend thousands of dollars. I always think it's crazy because it's you're trying to get Social Security income. You're trying to secure some type of money for your family. But how are you supposed to do that if you don't have any in the beginning to pay for, for the application to be filled out? So there is that option. And obviously there are groups in the state, a lot of law offices that they will take your money, they will help facilitate everything, and they'll try to do everything for you as well. Like I said, it doesn't secure you social security, but it might be less stress. And if you have the money, I mean, that's an option too.
Right, right. Yeah, I've worked with a lot of families who have paid um, lawyers or just individuals to do it because, as you say, it's lengthy, and then they want to make sure that they don't miss something that's needed, and then by the time it gets back and they're like, oh, we need therapy notes, and then the application had already started, and then time is running out. So a lot of times people tend to pay the money, but I'm glad you point out that paying the money to complete this form does not guarantee that you are going to get the benefits given to you. But at the same time, understand that if you don't have money to pay someone to do it for you, you can do it yourself. It's just going to take a little bit more effort because you have to ensure that you are gathering the documentation that's needed, which even if you pay somebody to do it, you still would have to gather the documentation to give to that person. But it's something you can do yourself. It's just going to be that the onus is on you and only you to ensure that it's done properly. And I like the tip about not dating it, because don't date it until you have everything that you know you need, so that you won't be asked to bring in something and then the clock is ticking and then the time is going. Do you know approximately how long the process usually takes from application to decision, if a person is approved or not approved?
About typically 2 months is what I've been told.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Okay,
doable for sure.
that's not too bad. That's pretty
So
good.
as long as as long as you follow through, like if the caseworker says, "Hey, I need this," and you're following through. Obviously, if you're not picking up your phone call, if you're not answering, if you're not responding, then it will take longer. But if typically if you are a responsive parent that is just active and involved, and you're gathering what is needed of you in time, typically about 2 months. So I always say, let's say you lose SSI, right? You get your, let's say you have SSI and you lose it because you made too much money. So now you're like, oh man, what do I do? There is going to be that gap because you have to apply for Katie Beckett, but also you can go to Marketplace and temporarily get something. Don't forget that you can apply for insurance through Marketplace.
Well, would you suggest that someone that's in that position that knows that it's going to go away soon, um, would you recommend them to start applying for Katie Beckett before you lose SSI? Would that be a good?
I've been told that you cannot apply if you have SSI, you cannot start applying for Katie Beckett. You have to get a physical like denial letter. Because
Oh,
I was like, oh, I want to take this new job and they're gonna pay me $5 extra. Like if you are already knowing,
yeah.
like you cannot apply for Katie. That's what I was told by the office, that you cannot apply before. So yeah.
Yeah, that's always such a struggle. It's like you want to make more money and but it's like such a huge thing when you have children with special needs because you know that you need to support them and you wouldn't be able to do it out of pocket.
And then SSI has that like you're not, if you are receiving SSI benefits, you cannot keep more than $2,000 in the bank.
Yeah.
So there is that one limit there that kind of holds people in place. And Katie Beckett, you can pretty much have as much money as you want in the bank. It's just disability based. So it gives you the freedom to basically be able to move up and then stay in one place.
That's
So
amazing. That's so good to know.
yeah.
This is really good information. So Alondra, you're saying you can't apply for Katie Beckett if you're still getting SSI.
No.
However, if during that time when say for you lose your SSI and you have your letter stating that you no longer get SSI, in between the time that you're applying for the Katie Beckett, you can go. What's that marketplace website that we would go to
Uh,
for
it just marketplace, like
this
like
marketplace?
Obamacare or whatever. Um,
Okay,
we could apply there in the meantime for one of the insurances that's offered there, and it's also income based, so you wouldn't be paying a crazy amount. It's also based off of your income.
okay.
Would you
So
sorry.
go ahead, Jen.
Would you recommend someone add their child to their own insurance
You can.
temporarily?
That's an option. I mean, if you have, I was going off of what you had said earlier that through your job you're unable to get insurance. So I was going off of based off of that. But obviously, if you have a job that offers insurance,
Yeah.
you temporarily add your child so they're not stuck with anything. Especially, gosh, like the amount that's charged nowadays for everything. If you're able to do that, that would be nice without so you wouldn't be lapsing.
Yeah, I just always felt the reason why I have not gone that route is because I felt like that there are some insurances. I'm not educated enough and I haven't taken the time to educate myself on if there are some insurances that do accept children with special needs. Like what, where do I go? I have no idea. So it is something that I'm currently in the process of discovering. So I'm glad that you're here to talk to us.
Yeah, and I know that not all providers take all the same and all the insurances. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you would have to take into consideration maybe your child's pediatrician doesn't take Ambetter, which is through
Right.
the marketplace. I would definitely maybe try to ask first, but I know that some clinics, like in the state of Georgia, through Marketplace, you're able to get Kaiser, and Kaiser takes Medicaid. So if you were previously receiving Medicaid, you might
Mhm.
be able to stay with the same provider as far as for your
Oh,
child.
nice. I
Yeah.
did not know that. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure a lot of parents are going to be so happy to
Yeah.
hear of this option of what to do when you don't qualify for SSI and you're applying for Katie Beckett and you haven't fully finished the process, and to know that you can add your child to your insurance if you have a job that offers it, or you can go on the marketplace and try for to buy the insurance. So the on the marketplace, those Medicaid based CMOs, are they an option on the marketplace as well, Alondra?
I believe so.
Okay. Okay. So okay, that's awesome. Good to know. All right. So we covered most of what it is for children who just need those medical based services. How about the part wherein your child is not eligible for school and needs to be more in a daycare setting? Um, what do we have in place, Alondra, that can help families? Because I know Jen had asked me about the GAP program, and I have no clue what the GAP program was. Can you explain what that is?
So the GAP program stands for the Georgia Pediatric Program. Basically, what it is, it helps provide the family uh, either nursing services, which would be skilled, or a personal care provider to help with the child in their home setting. Last year in Georgia, like I said, it changes per state, but last year in Georgia, Georgia passed a law where parents can be their child's paid caregiver. So they're able to get paid for whatever they already do for free. Give the child rides, bathe them, feed them, whatever. The gap waiver is also, it's a waiver. It's a Medicaid based waiver. So in order to qualify for it, you need to have Medicaid. It can be Medicaid through SSI. It can be one of the CMOs, Amerigroup, CareSource, or I always forget the last one.
Peach State.
Peach State. It can be one of those. And note that if they have like Amerigroup, CareSource, or Peach State, if they qualify if they're found eligible for the GAP program, it automatically converts it into straight Medicaid. So it converts their insurance into straight Medicaid. Also, as far as oh gosh. Also, people who receive Katie Beckett Medicaid. So if they got Katie Beckett Medicaid, they qualify for the GAP program. Even if they're millionaires, they can still because they have Medicaid. That parent can still qualify to get paid to service their child, to be their child's paid caregiver. What was I gonna say? Now, depending on the child's medical needs, is how the hours are assigned. You have to apply through a through a GAP provider, and there's a long list of lots of GAP providers. Not all GAP providers service all counties, so just be mindful if you found one provider. If you're in a certain county, they might not service it. So it's nice to look on the providers based off of your county. Places that you can find GAP providers. You can go online and just look up, GAP providers, and a list will pop up. You can also look through organizations such as Focus, Lecotech, Parent to Parent, and they usually have a list of resources. You can even go to your social worker. If you go to the hospital, usually the hospitals have social workers, and they will have resource lists of providers as well. So let's say you have a medically fragile child that requires oxygen, requires feedings. They do not eat through their mouth. Typically, a child that's more medically fragile will be awarded more hours. The more severe their disability, the less independent that they are, the more hours they will be awarded. And also, they might be awarded nursing hours. So they might need a nurse 24/7. And this is something that the GAP waiver allows families to get for free. So they will go through a provider, and the provider will be able to provide a nurse as however many hours were approved, that Medicaid approved. Let's say that your child is not so medically fragile, but they still qualify because they need help with everyday living things. They might be awarded less hours, maybe 20 hours for the parent. It's still something. It's something that, something that you weren't receiving before. And note that parents whose children qualify, it is tax-free. So whatever the provider pays, it will be tax-free. So for example, I have my own caregiving company, I pay 15. If the parent works 2 hours, it's 30, 45, what have you. It just goes on. And every provider has a different pricing range. They set their own. So you are free to shop around and go to different providers. It's like insurance. You just because you started with one doesn't tie you to that company. It's something that you are free to shop around with. But typically people start and they kind of stay because it's just more convenient.
Okay. So, all right, let me see if I understand the process. So, I have a child with a disability, and does this child, is the child able to go to school, the regular school hours? I can still get gap to cover like before school and after school care?
So technically, like let's say Miss Cecilia, you are the parent and you want to get paid to be your child's paid caregiver, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, your child needs to be present. So if your child attends school, you wouldn't clock in till after they come back from school.
Okay.
So you would be you would be caring for your child. You would be a paid caregiver when your child arrives from school, because when they're in school, there is no child to take care of.
Right. Okay.
And you
All
can
right.
still
So,
clock in on weekends. So you could clock in Saturday all day or Sunday, and you can have multiple jobs. This is a job. You get a tax form at the end of the year.
Okay.
would
Oh, okay.
do you have to be a parent to qualify, or can you be a grandparent?
Yes, so you could be a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, the neighbor. You can choose your own caregiver, but the
Okay.
tax-free option is limited to just the parents. If grandma wants to be the caregiver, she can be the caregiver. The only thing is, it won't be tax-free.
Oh, so it's tax-free for parents only.
Yes.
Okay. So whatever, okay. So then, all right. Typically as a mom, you're coming in, you're fixing your child's food, you're doing everything that moms do. So how does that differ from the gap provider? Like, is there a difference? Does your care have to fall within certain aspects? Like, okay, like a mom with a 2-year-old would give that 2-year-old a bath, right? So that's everyday parenting. The care that's given in the GAP program, does it have to be above and beyond what would be typical of just regular parenting? Do they
No,
know? Oh,
you're basically the whole reason why the GAP program was made is, like, for example, for myself, I went to school to be a teacher. I went and I studied and I had a job. I had a job as a teacher. Um, then COVID hit. I had to quit my job because my children are medically fragile. I was unable to continue my job and care for my children because there was nobody at home to help take care of them during that time. I'm not the only one in that position. A lot of parents, and it doesn't have to be a medically fragile child, it can be anybody. Sometimes parents are unable to work because of their child's needs. It could be an autistic child, somebody who has sensory needs. It doesn't have to be like a mobility issue, it can be anybody. It's difficult to trust your children uh, with other people, and especially when they have special needs. Sometimes they're nonverbal or they're incontinent, require diaper changes, different things. um, I don't feel comfortable with a stranger doing it. So I do it myself. And I don't feel comfortable with maybe a stranger coming in and giving my children rides back to school. So I physically had to quit my job so that I could care for them around the clock. Um, and that's the whole purpose of them passing the whole law about parents being able to be their child's paid caregiver. During the COVID time, not everybody felt comfortable with a stranger coming into their home
right.
to care for their child with what was going on as far as COVID. Um, but but no, you don't have to change the way you take care of your child. Obviously, you're getting paid to take care of for whatever you already do. Um, Obviously, you don't want to hurt your child or anything like that with anything, but that's typically whatever you do as a parent in your home, you're just now getting paid to do it.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that's a very helpful resource, the GAP program, because yes, you would be doing those things, but as you said, Alondra, a lot of parents, they have to quit their jobs to be able to take care of their children. And that's income. That's helping them keep the families afloat, providing for the families. Otherwise, there was nothing to help families to get that extra income for um, having to not be able to go to work because they have to take care of their children. So it's really good. And plus, not it's not just parents who can do it, or the family members, caregivers can also do it. It's just that you're getting paid through this gap program. So that's really awesome. You had any questions about the gap that you needed answered, Jen?
Yeah, I was going to ask, are there any financial restrictions? Like meaning, is there a tax bracket that I can't be in, and then it just I don't qualify for?
So the qualifications for the GAP program is, like I said, it's a Medicaid based program. So your child needs to have Medicaid, either straight Medicaid or one of the CMOs, or Katie Beckett Medicaid. So that's basically, I guess that would be your income limits. If if you're not, if you don't have Medicaid, you wouldn't be able to qualify for GAP. Um, yeah, that would be pretty much the only thing. And then obviously the child needs to be under 21. So from 0 to 21 is when they would qualify um, for the GAP program. And I will say something. I kind of was like, "Ah, should I say it or should I not?" Autism was just added last year, so legally, autism is on the list of qualifying disabilities. Um, Not all, and it wasn't in the past. They just added it last year when they added the option of parents being their child's paid caregiver. But not all providers accept children with autism. The qualification process for autism is way more lengthy. They just make it more difficult for children with autism to qualify versus somebody with a genetic disorder or what have you. Just the process of applying is more paperwork, so not everybody is willing to take that. So just note that if you have a child with autism, they might the provider might be like, sorry, we don't take at the time any children with autism because just the paperwork is more lengthy.
That's good to know and good questions to ask when looking around if
Yeah.
that's the route I decide to take.
But
Thank you.
the qualifications as far as like the disability, um, basically the first step is you find a gap provider, you go through them, and then you fill out some paperwork, some application. They will fax over a patient plan of treatment. So they fax over something to your pediatrician's office. And and you have to have like a good relationship, or at least it's the hours that are awarded are based off of what the pediatrician writes.
Okay.
So they need to be as detailed as possible. Like, this child requires help with feedings. The more detail, the more of a possibility that that child will qualify for the hours, and that that child will be awarded a certain number of hours. Other things that are included in this paperwork is an IEP. Along with other paperwork that has to be signed. But the main thing is that they look at the abilities of the child, and that's how the a number of hours are determined.
Okay. And how often do you renew it?
This is something that once you have applied,
Mhm.
then the provider, they have to reapply every 6 months. So
Oh,
they're doing this on their own. They're only requiring you to fill out most of the paperwork in the beginning. They're not asking, they're doing everything behind the scenes. So it's nothing you have to worry about afterwards. And
okay. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead. Ask me.
Oh, are there like timesheets that I would need to fill out?
No, the nurse, they do like notes and everything they
Okay.
fill out. But as far as like, let's say you want to be your child's paid caregiver,
Right.
um, you do need to, usually the companies will have an application and you are clocking in and clocking out because it's a job.
Right.
The clocking in does have a GPS, so you do have to be physically in the home because if
Oh.
an outside person was coming in,
Mhm.
um, they're not just clocking in from their house and like, hey, I showed up, but they never showed up. So
Right.
there is like a GPS that's linked, and it's just for when you clock in and when you clock out. So it's a way to just make sure that the services are being rendered. So that would be that. And then as far as parents, there are things that the parents, in order to be the caregiver, you have to suffice. So it's not just you're the parent. Here you go. You need to get TB tested. So you need to go to get tuberculosis test
Mhm.
and test negative. You need to pass a first aid CPR training. So you
Okay.
need to show a certificate, and they walk you through all of this. You need to turn in a resume. You need to fill out an application like you would in any regular job. Also, you need to do fingerprints. So they will do a background check, making sure that you don't have any felonies. And that's with any children. If you're working with children, that's like standard. So the company would send you a request so that you could get fingerprints. And make sure that you are able to work. Otherwise, those are some of the things that are required for the caregivers. And that would be if you wanted to be your child's caregiver or you want grandma to be, this is something that is required for the caregiver.
So even if you're the parent, you have to do the fingerprints
Yes.
and, and
You still, if those are the requirements, they want to make sure that, like, you know, if people, that you don't have a felony towards
right,
children or anything like that.
right,
You don't want to
right, because I guess they're paying you, so
you're a liability.
you're yeah.
So
Oh,
my last question would be, so if we like did a day at the zoo, for example, would I be able to clock in during that time as an outing, or do I specifically have to be home?
So as long as you stay in the state of Georgia, you can
Yeah.
clock in anywhere. Um,
Okay.
but let's say you want to go to Florida for the beach, you cannot clock in Florida. You have to remain in the state,
Mhm.
inside the state of Georgia. And we would just put in the comment section, like, we went to on an outing, we went to therapy, I took them to school, as far as with
Okay.
the comments.
Yeah.
There's a little section there. But yes, you do your regular life. You're not like, oh, I gotta get home and clock in. It's 2. And it's not that serious. Like, you follow your regular life.
And so you mentioned that you have a caregiving company. Can you tell us more about that, about your company, and do you offer that for children?
So yes, I do. I always tell people last year, I I've always worked with children, and I am obviously in the special needs community because of my 2 boys. So
Yeah.
the company grew out of love for them, to help other families and other children like my own. I do have, and it's called Special Home Care. My mm, my website is specialbrothershomecare.com. But it is something that I do, and I do help parents facilitate that, in becoming their child's caregiver, or assigning a caregiver of their choice, or if needed, getting them nursing services.
That's awesome. Cecilia, will you add her business?
I just did
Awesome. Thank you.
specialbrothershomecare.com.
Awesome.
Awesome. I will definitely be checking you out and we'll be talking soon.
Yes, yes, please do.
Thank you. Thank you for all of this information. Knowledge is power, so I appreciate it so much.
I'm not trying to gatekeep anything. If I have it, I'm going to share it.
I
So
love it.
why
Thank
not?
you.
We just got to help each other, you know?
That's right. That's right. You're a community, and that's exactly what this show is. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes, we're trying to get the word out there. This is valuable information that a lot of parents could benefit from getting, and I will be doing my best to share it to families who I know personally that need it. And I'm hoping that individuals who are watching would definitely share it on their platforms, because this is how we grow as a community to be able to help each other. It's by sharing information. So the more we share the information, the better. So I'm really, really appealing to everyone to share the information. At the end of the day, it's our babies that benefit and their families, of course. So I'm so grateful for Alondra for coming on tonight. So before we end, anything either of you can think of that we didn't cover that would be pertaining to financial assistance for families with special needs? Anything we didn't cover?
So I did want to point out also, one of the other waivers that we didn't focus on was the now comp waiver. That is another big one, and basically it helps support special needs children as an adult. Just receiving, it just helps supporting them with resources. It's divided into two sections, the now, and that usually is for special needs or people, because they would be an adult by then, that usually don't require as much, like their resources is less than 40,000, and then the comp is for people who are a little bit more in need of more services, so more in the three-figure range. But this is something that also that families would be able to qualify for. It's based off of need base, so there is a wait list and there is a limited amount of slots. It doesn't matter if you apply now; it's based off of your need, and your need will push you to the top of the list or push you down to the bottom of the list. But it is also something that is very important, and it's something that helps families a lot. It's something that when you think of, hey, what happens to my child when I pass away? This is something that would help answer that. Where would they live? How would we pay for therapies? It's kind of sounds kind of morbid, like to have to think about that this early, but it's something that that is needed, because we're not here forever, and like the circle of life, we would pass away typically before our children. So whatever plans we have, it's nothing for sure.
So the now comp waiver, it's the is it only for individuals with disabilities after 18? They get help after 18?
No, you can apply for it whenever. But
Okay.
typically people there, like I said, there's a long wait list. So people typically get approved later in life just because they're waiting.
Okay. So is this a list that once you know you have a child, especially if you know your child will require more services after they get to a certain age, they'll still require a lot of services. Would you recommend that go ahead and get on the now comp waiver because it,
Yeah,
okay.
the sooner the better to go ahead and apply for it. Like I said, it will. Let me see if I can see. As an adult, your child can get employment. They help with. Gosh, let me see right here. A little bit of everything. Adult dental service, nursing services, therapy services, community living supports. Financial support, goods and services, interpreting. I mean, it's just like pretty much respite, medical equipment, everything. I will say though, if you are lucky enough to qualify for it, like use the resource, because if you don't use it, you lose it. They will remove it. They will say, oh, this person's not using their resources, and they will assign it to somebody else. But from the hundreds and thousands of people, I know that I don't know how many people. It's I think like less than 10,000 people that get this awarded. Last time I heard it was like 6,000 something. So it is something that typically it's not like the gap program or where more people are going to have this, or Katie Beckett. This is just limited to whoever needs it. It's needs based.
Okay. Okay. Well, still something.
Hmm.
And so those 6,000 is a 6,000 a year, 6,000 every 6 years. Like what typically what's that
It's
6,000?
yearly and it changes. I just
Yearly.
threw out
Okay.
a number. I think the last time I saw it was like 6,000 something that qualified for that year. But like
Okay.
the waste list has oh sorry, the wait list had 6,000 something. I believe it was 500. It's like
Okay.
yes, like it's something crazy. I'm giving you the wrong information. It was like 500 that qualified and like 6,000 something
Okay,
that
on the list.
waited.
It's
Yeah.
a really long list. I know this young lady who is graduating now. She's 18 now, and she was placed on the list when she was about 7 or 8, because I remember her mom saying she was going to place. She has like moderate autism, and she knew that she was going to need services, and she's actually graduating. I will check in with mom to find out if where she is on the list now, because I remember her telling me she was going to put her on the waiting list. I'll check in with her. All right. So we covered from early intervention all the way to adulthood. Oh, just to make a note about the guardianship at 18, for parents to really think about that, because when your child turns 18, regardless of their disability level, um, the parent has to, if the parent wants to be able to make decisions on behalf of their child who will be an adult, the parent has to ensure that they're keeping up with the guardianship process. So anything on that, Alondra?
So I haven't personally gotten to that stage because my oldest is 12, but I do know from attending other conferences that usually the guardianship process, you can start as early as 17 and a half, so before they turn 18. And it is a personal decision, so it's not something you have to do, but it is something that's there. And it's just there pretty much to protect your child. For example, if somebody was to call my child and try to sell him a credit card, my child would be like, yeah, you know, and he loves to shop, he loves to eat, he'd probably max it out and he wouldn't know that he would have to pay it back. So it's there to help protect your child from people taking advantage of them in certain situations like that. So it is there, and it's a very personal decision, but it's something that you have to start thinking, and usually the high schools will help guide you through. um, they start talking about it and guiding you through. And there are organizations, like I said, like Focus. The Focus, they do like yearly conferences, and they have speakers, and they will guide you. And a lot of them are lawyers, and they will guide you through the process.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Well, Alondra, I thank you so, so much for coming on and sharing so much knowledge with us tonight. I am so grateful that you came on. I think Jen got dropped off camera for a little bit. I'll wait to see if she comes back. But is there anything you would like to leave us with tonight before we sign off?
I like I said before, you are your child's biggest advocate. So if you don't fight for them, who will? So just know these services, these resources are here for a reason. they're here to help you, to make your life a little bit easier, and use them. Use them. And if you need help, there are organizations that will help and walk you through the process. Um, there, just take advantage of them.
Okay, guys. Awesome. All right, guys. If you have any questions, if you're watching this on the replay and you have questions, feel free to email me at celynch23@gmail. Oops, sorry, that's not the right one. It's schoollifeready@gmail.com. schoollifeready@gmail.com. And I hope to see you guys next week. We always have informative topics here. I will see you all next week. On behalf of Jen, I'm saying good night and thank you all.
Bye. Thank you.
Stay on, Alondra.